Can the Ottawa Senators trigger panic across the city of Toronto with a win in Game 5 tonight? We'll get to that a little bit later here on the 5-minute edition of Power Plays, powered by FanDuel. That's Marc Methot, Ottawa Senators legend. I'm Aaron Korolnek. I host a show called First Up here in Toronto. And Mark, there isn't panic yet bubbling with the Toronto Maple Leafs, but if they lose tonight, that could very well change quickly. With regards to the Senators, yes, the team is down 3-1. But who would you say has been the best player in the series to this point for Ottawa?
Well, Aaron, you could make an argument for several players. You know, Tim Stützle has been okay, hasn't been finding the back of the net. Brady Tkachuk leading the team right now in goals. Hasn't been a huge factor. I was expecting a little bit more from him, but he's still been strong. But I think one player that really stands out for me right now is Jake Sanderson. I mean, if you factor in ice time, special teams playing on the first unit on the PK, he's averaged over 27.5 a night so far here in the playoffs. Had a huge goal in Game 4 there to win it in overtime for the Ottawa Senators. He's playing against top lines. His matchups are difficult. So I think it's time that we pay a little bit more respects towards Jake Sanderson. And a lot of that just stems from his preparation. Brady Tkachuk had a really good quote yesterday when he talked about how Jake Sanderson might arguably be the most well-prepared player he's ever played with. And that's a huge compliment considering Jake Sanderson is 22 years of age. So there's a lot riding on this for him right now. He's been terrific. In my opinion, he has answered the bell. And I think really when it comes down to it, what makes Sanderson so great outside of that preparation, of course, is his skating ability, his edge work, reading plays. He's just miles ahead of the game when he is on, and it's really showing through right now in the playoffs.
Sanderson is total stud of the Four Nations, total stud all year for the Ottawa Senators. Beyond Sanderson, Mark, how would you assess the Sens D-core so far in this playoff run?
Well, the nice thing about the playoffs is that it's really easy to evaluate what you have in a player, right? I mean, it's high stakes, it's competitive. There's nowhere to essentially hide out there. So I think for me, when you look at the top pairing, Jake Sanderson, Artem Zub, they've been very strong. They're playing a ton of heavy minutes right now. Obviously, I referenced Sanderson and how great he's been. But then when you go down to that second pairing of Thomas Chabot and Nick Jensen, Jensen's been battling injury now for a few months, and it's showing through here in the playoffs. It has affected that pairing. They're getting hemmed in on occasion. But all in all, I've liked Thomas Chabot's game. He's moving well. But mainly, Aaron, that third pairing. And I want to emphasize Tyler Kleven. Now, he's playing with Matt and Paolo on the third pairing, two big defensemen. But Tyler Kleven is playing the best hockey of his career. And it's all happening right now against the Toronto Maple Leafs in the postseason. He has been outstanding. So when I fast forward now to next season, you could make a legitimate argument that he'll end up in that top four. They're going to have no choice if he continues on the way he has been.
Matthew, you dealt with some mutants in your NHL career. Matthew Knies, 6'3", 220, a heavy load. How do you deal with a guy like Knies, especially in front of the net?
Well, Aaron, I said it before the playoffs started that Knies would be a problem for the Ottawa Senators. He just is. Whenever you look at a lineup top to bottom and you see a legitimate power forward that can skate like the wind, weighs 227 pounds, and can finish, that is incredibly difficult to defend against, especially when you're playing against that same group every other night. You start learning each other's tendencies. So with Knies, proof was in the pudding right there in the second period last game, where he had that beautiful breakaway goal. He beat Artem Zub clean right off the rush on his own from the defensive end. So we know what he's capable of. Big men are very hard to move. I've experienced it when I played. I can remember as a rookie playing against Matt Sundin. It was Sundin's last year playing in Vancouver. He was on maybe the later stages of his career. And I couldn't move in at net front. I could not physically outmatch that man. And of course, what it comes down to is good stick work, which I did not have on that specific play. He turns around and throws a backhand shot top shelf behind me. So they're very challenging in big games to play against. They're moving, they're big bodies. The key against them is just getting in their way and slowing them down.
All right, I'm going to give you a couple options to score tonight. Brady Tkachuk, William Nylander. Better chance to find the back of the net. Who is it?
Well, it's really one thing I've learned, Aaron, I'll get right to it. It's very difficult to bet against Brady, only from the standpoint that he elevates his game when it matters most, right? He's one of those guys that just kind of shows up. And despite that size, that grit, he has a scoring touch, and we've seen it leading Ottawa right now so far in the series and led them in the regular season. But We're talking home ice advantage for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And the way Nylander's been playing, 6 points so far, he has been strong. I know he hasn't capitalized on a ton of opportunities, but with all the focus on Matthews, Nyes, Marner, getting those secondary matchups against lesser defensive opponents, I really think it bodes well for Nylander. And again, one staggering number that has really stood out is the amount he scored at home right now. So 25 goals in 41 home games for Nylander. I like him tonight.
Meth, we put a same game parlay together for the audience. It includes the Ottawa Senators plus a goal and a half. They just need to keep it close or perhaps go to overtime or win the game outright. Timmy Stützle to record a point and Matthew Nyes to record a point as well. Enjoy Game 5, everybody. Thank you for this, Meth.